Abbey and Christine. Welcome to Live from Bed.
Hi.
I'm so happy you're here. Abbey, can I tell you a secret?
Sure.
Every time when people come over, when I interview them, and every single time I watch Love on the Spectrum before I record. I love Love on the Spectrum, and I'm such a fan of yours. Tell me about your fidget slug. I want to know about why you fidget.
My fidget slug is, it helps me not to stim,
Oh.
and it helps me to keep myself regulated.
It helps you keep busy with your hands. It helps your mind focus.
Yes.
That's amazing. So I want to talk to you first about autism. So Abbey, when were you diagnosed with autism?
I was diagnosed with autism at age 2.5.
Ooh, 2.5. Okay. And Christine, so you knew at 2.5 that maybe something.
You know, it's weird because, she's my first child and I kind of waited till I was older because I wasn't like a kid. Some women know they want to do that and I did not until the last second when the clock was ticking.
No, I think that's important to mention.
It is important because I was traveling and I was a career girl and I was like, oh, I guess I should do this before it's too late. And so I really didn't know. I wasn't that savvy, honestly, but I had a little friend group and we kind of had a bunch of ladies that got pregnant and I saw that other kids were doing things that she wasn't. And there were just certain things. And I'd go to the pediatrician and say, hey, this is happening. He's like, oh, all kids do it, da-da-da. And it wasn't until she went to preschool. And luckily, we went to a local preschool on the early side. Abby, you were 2 years, 3 months when I put her in preschool. And it was the preschool. They're the ones that actually did an amazing job. I'm grateful for them. Didn't want to get that phone call.
Right.
They said, your child can't come here anymore.
Oh.
We can't guarantee your safety. And things were starting to add up then. And that's when I knew that was the day that was like I knew my life had changed forever.
Wow. And so did you get like a second opinion or did you?
Oh, yeah. No, then I went and got the 2 official diagnoses, one through the local North LA County Regional Center and one through a diagnostic pediatrician in Pasadena. So I was still kicking and screaming, telling them that they were wrong because
he looks a little sad.
I know. He has like a permanent sad face.
You know who he reminds? He's like Eeyore.
He is like Eeyore.
He's a lot like Eeyore.
That's so funny you say that, Abbey. I always say he reminds me of Eeyore.
What's the impression of Eeyore, Abbey?
Oh, sorrow. But he's mine, and I'm going to sleep with him tonight.
Oh, that's amazing. I love
and
that.
I will hold him.
Oh, I love that. He's
and
going
I'm
to a
remove
good
my
home.
tags. That's what I usually do to all my animals.
Yeah, you have to remove the
Well,
tag.
guess what? I removed the tag off my cuddle clone of Clementine, but everybody knows it's already her.
Oh, for sure.
That's
It
true.
looks just like her.
And
look
I was
alike.
thinking I should get a pink ribbon and write Clementine, her name on it.
I saw you walking Clementine yesterday, and I know that was a big feat for you, right? Did you always walk her by yourself?
No. And speaking of, when I first walked her, one time I was walking her in all the middle of the street, I saw a coyote.
Oh,
That
that
is
scares
true.
me.
We really worked probably about a year of specific time spent learning how to help her walk the dog on her own. Not because Abby can't walk.
Right.
It's because of the variables in our very busy urban neighborhood.
Absolutely.
That's the issue. And she gets recognized.
Right.
And because of all of those things, there's a lot for her to manage. And coyotes. And that was pretty recently. She called me up and just said, guess what? I'm walking the dog and because she calls me from the walk.
Yeah.
There's a coyote. And I was kind of like, oh, that's not on the list
Right.
of preparing
You're like,
her.
we didn't talk about that yet. So Abbey, you do get recognized sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Do you like that? Do you like when people want to take your picture with you?
I do.
You do? Does it ever bother you?
No, not necessarily.
No. Oh, that's great. Okay, so back to when Abbey was diagnosed. Was it always something the two of you talked about? Was it always an open thing or did you?
Well, actually, Abby, why don't you tell us how you came to me with this idea? A lot of parents will say, when do I tell my child they're on the spectrum or how do I do that? What's our story, Abs? You remember?
One time I was riding in the car and I turned around to my mom and I asked her, do I have autism? And she said yes. And we both started to cry.
Oh.
It came out of the blue. I was driving, like literally in this neighborhood, and she was 9 years old. You were 9, remember?
Yes, I was.
But by that time, she was in an autism school.
Right.
So all the kids had, supports and differences and stuff. And they used that word, and I honestly had never planned on using that word with her. A lot of people say, when do I say it? When do I say it? And I just would say, your brain works differently.
Right.
I just felt like that at that time was a not good word to be using. It was it meant a lot of different things than it does today.
Right.
I think our view 20 years ago was very different on how we looked at that. And the diagnosis has changed. But at that time, she came to me and just said it, and I had not planned on using it. And so it was, she just so caught me off guard. I was literally driving and she said it, and I had to answer her. I mean, I nearly hit a tree.
Right.
Like,
Right.
it was a very painful car ride. We'll say that. And she really surprised me, but this girl's really smart.
She is
Doesn't miss a thing.
very, very, very smart. So you knew it from then on. You had to have a conversation,
And,
right?
and the hard part about autism is it means so many different things for so many different people. And, it meant one thing for Abby, which was very language. Right, Abby? How would you describe your autism?
My autism is that sometimes my brain wouldn't do what I was telling it to do.
Oh, that
That
made
made me
frustrating.
very frustrating.
Yeah, I
What
can
about
imagine.
language?
Language was hard too.
But well, how do we describe your autism? Remember?
I have an autism communication disorder.
For Abby, it's language. It's this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still so utterly feel like I've created a beautiful dream.
Yeah, right.
like that she's doing this, yet it's a struggle, and other people on the spectrum have no language issue whatsoever. So that's why I think for the general public it can be hard to understand what this autism thing is. Because it's just one word to describe, and that's why they say it's a spectrum.
Right.
But we don't have spectrums of other things that are concerning. Like, we don't have a mental illness spectrum. We have different names so that we can help people with certain interventions, support, treatments. And I think that's where it gets a little bit difficult to understand what's really going on for, you met one person with autism, you met one person with autism, but maybe it's time to have just a little bit more better language to describe
Totally.
it, to help people.
Yeah, I like how you say like high support and low support. Is that like a way that
And
you...
What
that's-
kind of dog
that's-
is this?
That's a black pug.
A black pug?
A pug. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
a pug,
pugs come
just
in
like
two
this one.
colors. Taco's a pug, and they come in two colors. One is like a beige and one is black. And Taco is a black pug. And now your Taco is also a black pug. I like that we both have our tacos here.
I know.
Thank you.
Of course. Abby, do you like speaking on these kinds of things? Do you like going on podcasts?
Yes, I do.
Oh, good. I love that. So, Christine, back to what you were saying about the spectrum. I agree, it's really difficult because it's an entire spectrum of needs and developmental
To me,
challenges.
the really good part of this is that there is a low support and a high support. But that's vague.
Mm-hmm.
Low support means 10 different things, and high support means 10 different things. I know people that have loved ones similar to Abby that call their children high support needs because they need a lot of guidance. I call Abby in the middle somewhere. There's not really a moderate support needs. None of these terms are really diagnostic. It's sort of what we say to describe our experience. But there is a definite low support needs population that doesn't have the right services because it's a bit newer. Those are the late stage diagnosed people or people who are, made it through because they don't have a language delay.
Right.
And all I'm saying is wouldn't it be cool if we could really give that a name so that we could create the right supports for them? Because the supports that are right for Abby and the interventions are not right necessarily for a low support needs person. It would feel invasive. It would feel like controlling and weird.
Right.
But you've got other people that are over here isolative and struggling. They need something else. But that's what makes it harder for us caregivers to figure out what is the right thing to do. What does my kid need?
Absolutely.
I mean, I get a lot of DMs from people and I try to help them. It's all based on what skill set their loved one has.
Right. So it's so hard to even offer help because you don't know what their
That's why
child
when
needs.
there's podcasts and things like this and they say, all autistic people mask, like that's a statement I've heard. And I want to say, some autistic people definitely mask. This one doesn't mask.
And that's why we love her so
Abby
much.
is Abby.
Yes.
I think we can all
No
say.
matter what.
And I'm fine with that. Like, that's great. But other people who have other skill sets, who are more highly aware of their environment, are able to mask. That's a different, actually higher functioning
Oh,
set.
interesting.
Because if you're that aware of the environment, trying to say, hey, how do I fit into this? How do I follow these rules? That's an awareness that many that I know on the spectrum do not have.
Oh, interesting.
So, but we don't have the language to talk about it. So then I don't think anyone's served appropriately in that case.
That is so fascinating.
Yeah, and there's so many components. The big one I have is some sensory integration dysfunction or sensory processing disorder. Abby, what do you know about that?
My mom had an older brother who had massive sensory integration dysfunction, and he ate sawdust and he put everything in his mouth.
Oh, that
When he
must
was
not
little.
have tasted good.
So I grew up with a brother who had sensory issues. He was not autistic. They wouldn't have diagnosed him then. They probably would today, I suppose. But he's a job and a life and kids, didn't need speech therapy or any of the things that we did.
Okay.
But he had really big sensory needs that were not addressed because no one had that at the time. So I'm aware of what those behaviors were.
Wow.
And I noticed that she was doing some of those behaviors as a little girl. But I believe that sensory processing disorder or sensory integration dysfunction is its own thing.
Right.
So if you have that massive sensory issues, sound, and I get a lot of DMs from people that say, I think I'm autistic, I have sound issues, fabrics bother me, the heat bothers me, I must be autistic. And I would say, you should check out sensory integration dysfunction and go get some research done on that, because that's a component of a piece of the pie of the autism that we experience.
Right.
And I don't care what you call it. I'm all about giving people help, specific help.
Right. Which is important. That's specific.
Yeah, and your own personal awareness so that you know what your body needs.
Oh, that's so true.
I mean, everybody has sensory issues. Like, do you get up and have a cup of coffee and then eat breakfast at 11, but go to the gym first and you have to play tennis first? Do you have your rituals? Do you listen to music before you start your day? All those things really help your body regulate to start your day. They just don't impact your day so that you can't function.
Right. No, that's a really important distinction. There's a lot of self-diagnosing going on the
There's
internet,
a lot
too.
of self-diagnosing, and so that the issue with that is then if we keep digging, then are we all on the spectrum?
Right.
Because, and again, everyone has sensory preferences.
We must fall somewhere on
like the wind bothers my hair when it's all in my face. When it's hot out, I have certain things but it doesn't debilitate me in terms of like getting my day done and doing my job. So to each his own to discover, and it's all good if you find out whatever your needs are. I just feel like sensory integration is one of those unsung heroes of what we're seeing in self-diagnosis.
Yeah.
Just from what I've read, just from the people that reach out to me, and that definitely needs to be addressed.
No, I'm so glad you mentioned that. I think that's so important. There's a lot of misunderstandings about autism and what the symptoms or even what resources you can use to help yourself or your loved one. I feel like there's a lot of misunderstanding and confusion there.
It's because and I try to make sure I'm not on my own bandwagon of Abbey's autism, which is why we use the hashtag Abbey's autism.
Right.
Because I'm trying to tell people we're coming from this point of view of this spectrum word, which means the kind that you're diagnosed right at 2, you cannot function in the world. But so if you get to a senior in high school and you didn't need any speech therapy, that's a different thing.
Absolutely. No, that's an entirely different thing.
You're still on the spectrum. Of course, you can call it whatever you want. All I'm saying is if we don't sort of get to the nuances of how autism affects a person, how do we help them?
Right. And why language is so important.
Yeah. And how does the public embrace people when you don't know? Because for some people, if they met one person with autism and that person is nonverbal or has behavior problems or is more impacted, then you may think all people with autism.
Right.
But then you've got people that were formerly known as Asperger's before 2013, which you can't say anymore, high intelligence people. They can be scientists and working at NASA. So they were formerly in sort of a pocket that let us know that those people had high intelligence.
Right.
But now that's been kind of level playing field, so we're all kind of on the spectrum. So all I really want
We're still learning a lot.
Yeah, it's a landscape that I think still needs to be cultivated with terminology so that the public understands and that those affected understand. That's what I'm hoping
I
for.
love that. No, me too. Me too. Abby, what was school like for you?
School was pretty good. It was okay. Nobody just really understood my autism at the time back then.
Really? Did you try to explain it to them?
I tried to, but my words wouldn't come out and my brain wouldn't do what I was telling it to do. The curriculum was the same as it was at the typical school, but they just taught it a little slower.
Okay.
But until I noticed, till once I was in about junior high, I realized the curriculum was not right for me anymore.
Oh.
They had studied it was like tectonic plates, Earth's rotation, ancient Greeks. And none of that made sense to me.
You
so
weren't
for ninth
interested.
grade for high school, my mom's put me in vocational job skills education.
Oh, and you liked that better.
Yes.
You were way more
vocational.
What'd you learn in vocational?
I worked at Kmart.
Oh, wow.
She had an internship
And then after
at
that, I
Kmart.
went to a training school called Miller, and I learned textiles there.
Is that where you learned to knit? Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. You guys, Abby brought me this incredible hat that I'm so excited about. It's gorgeous, Abby. How long did this take you?
Took me about a couple days or so.
Oh my gosh, it would have taken me 2 years. Like, this is unbelievable. I cannot wait to wear it. I'm so excited. So was making friends in school hard for you?
Yeah, it was. I would sit alone mostly at lunch.
Really? And how did that make you feel?
I felt very isolated and alone.
Oh, and when did you feel like you made more friends?
Not till I was like 18 or 19, somewhere around there.
Okay.
She had a lot of interventions and programs and social skills and classes and things like that.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about what helped you with social skills? Remember what we did when you were in middle school? What did you join? The
Miracle Project.
Yeah.
Ooh, tell me about the Miracle
I went
Project.
with the Miracle Project. It's a theater company for people on the spectrum.
And you joined that, and you loved theater from the second you
Yes,
started.
of course.
Wow, I love that. Is that where you learned to sing? Or did you always sing?
I've always sang.
Really? Did you sing before you talked?
Yes, I did.
I remember you
I
saying
could sing
that.
before I
She
could
did.
talk.
That's amazing. Is that why you identify with Ariel also?
Yes, it's because that Ariel was a mermaid who felt isolated and alone under the sea, and she wanted to be where the people were, and just like how I wanted to be where the typical kids were. And when she finally got to dry land, she couldn't talk. That's how I felt.
Wow, that makes
That's
a lot
why
of
Ariel and
sense.
mermaids are still important to me today.
Wow, is she still your favorite princess?
Yes,
I love her. What's your favorite part in that movie?
part of your world.
Oh, me too.
Like how she couldn't get her words out, just like me.
That's so true. But now you make so much music, right? And you speak a lot. You have come so far. You're amazing.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part of singing? What do you feel like when you sing?
Feels like that my autism is gone, and then when I'm
Really?
singing and when the song's over, it's finally back.
Okay.
Your
but
autism is back.
it feels like you can escape for a second. Wow, that's amazing. What's your favorite song you've written?
My favorite song I've written is called Girl Inside, and that song is about how autism makes me feel like there's a person living inside me.
Oh, and what does that feel like? What is that person trying to say?
It feels like that person is the autism side,
Oh.
and I'm the neurotypical side is what it feels like.
Oh, that makes so much sense. And you wrote that song yourself? Wow, that's amazing.
Who helped you?
But Kaylee, my old voice teacher, helped me.
Oh, great. So you still take voice therapy, right? Or is it music
Yeah,
therapy?
she's definitely still into music. That's kind of like a love, a passion.
Yeah.
And Abby, we started writing. Well, remember, we did one song in particular that was like the first song, which was that there was a therapy we were using to help Abby with language and controlling her language. And it was called Stop, Pause, and Think. Remember, Abby?
Yep.
Why did we write that song? Do you remember?
I wrote that song Stop, Pause, and Think because it was a strategy I was using in therapy.
Oh, okay.
It was just literally stop, pause, and think was the strategy that when you're trying to have a communication with someone, you have to pause and just think before you say it so that you're, are you
Oh.
on topic? What are you doing? And so she was having a hard time remembering it. So we turned it into a song so we could go around singing, stop, pause, and
Yeah, I know. I love
think. You can
that.
change how you feel. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Come on, you do it.
Stop, pause, and think. You can change how you feel. You gotta stop, pause, and think. You got the power to heal.
That's it.
Oh, I love
It was
that.
cute,
Abby, you have
though.
a beautiful voice.
It was just
My
Thank you.
God, I
Aw.
love it.
Cute, fun thing. And so that sort of led to really writing songs about her journey. And so what do you have now? 5? You're on your 6th one, I think.
Yeah, I'm writing the next one I'm writing is a song called
Well, it's a surprise,
It's a
remember?
surprise
Oh,
that
we
I'm going to
can't
be
talk.
releasing in the spring of 2025.
Wow. Where can people listen to your other songs? On YouTube?
Yes, they can. They can also watch it on Amazon. No, they could also watch it on
What's it called, remember? Starts with an S.
Spotify.
Spotify. That's it. We love Spotify. Okay, that's amazing. We'll put it in the show notes so that everyone can go listen. Abby, what are your hobbies and interests besides music?
My hobbies and interests besides music are swimming,
Ooh.
water parks. I'd say water parks are my hobby. It's because of that feeling when I'm standing on the trapdoor in a free fall water slide. It's a big sensory need.
Were you always brave enough to go on the water slide?
I wasn't at first, but now I am.
Wow.
And I finally got my brother Ben to do it, and he was terrified.
Oh, I bet.
He was really scared.
Well, what did you write a song about? One of your
Water
songs
slide is about how I used
it's
to be
actually
terrified
called-
of water, and I always wanted to go in the deep end, and now I can.
Oh, that's amazing.
But remember your whole swimming thing?
It's because I was afraid of water, and finally someone taught me. Ginny Farrell taught me to swim.
She was afraid of water. It was a big problem because other kids could just jump in the pool and swim, but the whole underwater breathing thing was too much, I think, skill-wise. Do you know?
Right.
And she was scared. How old were you when you finally mastered it, remember?
17.
Wow.
And you know why I would get jealous of people who could swim? Because I wanted to be a mermaid.
Oh, that makes sense. You wanted to be like Ariel, but now you are. You really are. You can swim.
Yeah.
She's overcome a lot.
So that's what I was going to say. Christine, I'm sure you've heard a lot. She'll never, you can't, a lot of that verbiage. What in you makes you keep trying for that next milestone miracle moment?
You know, it's weird. I don't think you know how you're going to be if you have children or pets or anything. I don't think you have a fantasy of what you might do or how you might be. And by the way, the kids that you order in your mind are not the ones you get.
I've heard that.
Prior to your
I've heard
thing.
that.
My favorite thing is Abby's brother, Ben. I always wanted a son that was like a total athlete, football player. I love football players, all that stuff in high school. That was my thing, football. I still love the NFL. And my son, Abby's brother, who was 210 pounds and 6'1", played the flute
I love
in the
that.
school band. So you don't know, that vision isn't necessarily what you get. But I think that Abby, for me, we always had these like almost spiritual moments where here's a kid who can't tell you really what's going on. And she'd have these moments of explaining to me how hard it was for her. Why isn't my brain doing what I'm telling it to do? And just my heart went out like, I'm going to help you figure this out type of thing. But then she also mastered things as we tried. So, Abby tying her shoe. Do you remember how old you were when you mastered?
9.
She was 9 years old when
Wow.
she mastered. I mean,
Amazing.
every day for 2 years. I don't know where I got the patience.
Yeah.
Because the bilateral coordination of that just wasn't happening. And then one day she just did it, and she was 9, and I am like sobbing for a day.
Oh.
Because I felt like we crossed that finish line together.
Yeah. And
So-
those little moments that maybe other parents take for granted. You're like,
Oh, for
yeah.
sure. Yeah, that's the one thing I can say about this. I have 2 kids. One's typical, one isn't, and one's better than typical. One's
Amen.
more
Well, one side of
empowered.
me is typical, and the other side
Right.
of me is on the
Yes.
spectrum is what it feels like.
That makes a lot
That's
of
why
sense.
I've always wanted to be an adult, because I knew I would know how to swim as an adult.
Wow. And you did. You're so right. Anything that you say you're going to do, you're going to do. That's what Abby's
She's
about.
very determined.
Yeah.
She wants to get it right. So she's motivated. And I guess I felt like at some point I had to make a decision because I couldn't not give it my all. And so with Abby and Abby's future, just like you work so hard, but then when you see it manifest and you see that it helped or it made a difference, I think that's my motivation to keep going. Do you know? And partially, I just need to do things with 150% effort, or I can't sleep at night.
Yeah. Same with Abby, though. I feel like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree in that way.
Well, that is true. I mean, she is one
Determined.
determined girl.
Yeah.
She's in a therapy right now.
I'm also in a Gestalt language, brain, and memory therapy.
Tell me about that.
Well, my mom founded this woman named Ryan on TikTok, and because I'm a Gestalt language learner, and she's helping me to use my feeling words, not speak in memories and categories. Like there's 3 parts of the brain: the smart brain, the emotional brain, and survival brain.
Ooh, I never knew that. And so what is the Gestalt? What does that mean? What is Gestalt?
Can you explain it, Abby, or do you want me to?
Gestalt language, I don't know. That's a very good question. Why don't you explain?
Okay. Gestalt language processing is really sort of we're new to it and we're laymen. So the idea that you learn language through lived experience, perhaps in the moment. So like I could, this bottle of water could spill and I get startled. So the next time I'm startled, I say the water bottle spilled.
Oh, interesting.
You see what I'm saying? Like you
You talk about
associate
the memory.
the
rather
memory
than-
and the feeling you experience at the time of something with that language. So it's not, words don't come first. So it's, Abby has an incredible memory, which she has learned. She has, details that I could never access.
Abby was telling us all what years we were born, what year the Little Mermaid came out. Like, everything.
Yeah, she does. So there's something in that too. So I'm just learning that, kids that have echolalia, what's echolalia, Abby?
Echolalia is where you repeat certain sounds you hear from TV or movies.
A lot of kids on the spectrum, when they're on the younger side, will just script. So they'll just use words and phrases of language from
Wow, that's
television.
fascinating.
And that language will replace sort of the language we use.
Okay.
Because it could be, like I said, something happened and you have an emotional moment,
Mm-hmm.
whatever language was there. The water bottle spilled now means I'm scared or I'm startled because water went, you know what I'm saying?
Right. So that's probably something like only you can translate because you know what that memory is that she's talking
Correct.
about.
And a lot of people don't understand if this part of language learning is not in the autism that anyone has, even if they're the person with autism or not. But I've learned that a lot of my DMs, people will share their stories about, oh, I have something like that. Or they figured out how to overcome it
Okay.
without therapy or help.
Right.
Yeah. So that's new for us. And we kind of really learned it on TikTok because you hear so much stuff. I try to
Yeah.
be very clear. We're just sharing our story. I'm not telling you to do anything or not do it. I don't know what type of autism you have.
Right.
It just is what it is. It's just a story. And I think that's where communities are built on TikTok and social media. Just finding people with a similar, issue. If you can
Yeah.
share information, that's a great thing. So I found and started hearing, is she a Gestalt language processor? And I was like, whatever that means. And I kind of was resistant.
Yeah.
But my whole way I want to be in the world is to not be resistant to anything. Just hear it. And I started to dig a little deeper and realized, I think she is doing that. So this has been amazing what Abby's learned. Can you tell Jade what you've learned about that, Abs?
Yeah.
Remember about what Ryan is teaching you about?
Ryan's teaching me, she's making me some visual dictionaries of the categories about the way my mind works.
That's
like, for
cool.
example, mermaids eating burgers and french fries every day because I love mermaids and I love burgers and fries.
So that means you talk in categories sometimes.
Okay. So those things would make
For
you
example,
happy.
people who know how to swim eat yummy food, and people who don't know how to swim eat yucky food.
Oh.
So these images and categories pop in her head before language does.
It's because I like eating those foods and I love swimming.
That makes a lot of sense.
So what Ryan is doing in her site, Support the Spectrum, which is free. It's a free resource. You can just watch what she's doing and take what you like and just apply it or not. But she's using AI to take the memories as Abby describes them and on a piece of paper have like princesses eating cake.
Yeah.
Good.
How cool.
And then next to it, I feel happy. I feel excited. I'm looking forward to positivity.
And there's inside out characters next to it of each emotion.
I love Inside Out.
Yeah, we did.
That
We
helps a
loved
lot.
that.
There's also a picture of crying babies eating spicy hot peppers and vegetables.
that
That's
would be
not
things
so-
we don't like. So, Abby, can you tell me some more things you don't like? So, you don't like crying babies.
And I don't like spicy hot peppers or Ursula, the sea witch.
Oh, yeah, me neither.
That's why I say Disney villains eat spicy hot chili peppers.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Now I'm giving you details.
Yeah, I love your details. You're really making me understand what you're saying. So we don't like crying babies. Are you around crying babies
There was
ever?
one crying baby on a plane who was screaming, "Water, water."
Ugh, and you were really annoyed.
I was dysregulated and my smart brain was off and my emotional and survival brains were taking over.
Oh, I can imagine.
That's how she's looking at it now. So she has an actual cognitive strategy to help her manage that unpleasant sound. She will never like the sound of crying babies. It's
Right.
not about getting someone with autism to like something that we typical people might feel is just get over it. They hear something different. It is painful. So inside, I think this is the hardest thing. The average majority of boring, typical people are hearing something that's slightly annoying, get over it. But what she hears hurts her.
Absolutely.
And I've come to understand that that's what she's experiencing and that's okay and I need to honor. So what do I do? I'm on an airplane and the crying baby is next to us.
Oof.
So
And I
that
hated
was
it.
really
Oh,
the
I bet.
unfortunate thing because
And
it
I
was
said,
so close.
I think those crying, and can I give you an example?
No, I don't. I think when
I
you
don't
get
think
too
so.
deep into it, sometimes we don't understand
Too
what
much
it is.
information.
Yeah, but let's just tell what we did to solve the problem.
Luckily, we switched seats.
Oh, that's great.
So one of the things about an adult with autism who's flown a million times is if there's an unusual, I don't think we've ever sat next to the screaming baby. They've been on the plane. We're
Yeah.
fine. We brought the wrong headphones. You need to have the circular headphone jack and the iPhone headphone jack. We had the circular ones. We didn't have the iPhone one. The flight staff was just by the book, black and white, and wouldn't do anything to help us to problem solve. And that was my issue was sometimes, look, I'm trying to prevent this.
Totally.
I saw a video one time of an autistic girl that was hungry, and when she gets hungry, she gets a little vocal and she starts to stim and has these issues, and they just wouldn't get her any food because it wasn't food time on the plane, and they wound up landing and
What are you talking about?
kicking them off. A video that I saw on TikTok of a family whose autistic daughter was asked to get off a flight. But if they had given her the food or just bent the rules little bit, they couldn't have anticipated necessarily what was going on. So anyways, the passengers worked out the issues, not the flight staff.
Right.
So we see a lot of crazy passenger videos.
Yeah,
this was a good one.
This was a good one.
Everybody was awesome. The flight staff was just kind of cold and just disconnected not into the problem solving mode. And I'm very much a rule follower, so I don't in any way expect special treatment, but I'm just saying this was just an unusual and unfortunate.
No, come on. Like they could bend the rules a little bit for sure.
Yeah.
But anyways. So you switched seats and then.
So we wound up switching seats with another family, and the baby was still crying on the plane, but we weren't next to it.
Right, which is different.
She could put her loops in and it blocked the sound enough.
Yeah.
But when it's right next to you, it's pretty hard. Yeah. And the dad was great. He was doing it the best he could.
And I didn't like it.
I get that.
But we moved.
And I started tearing too.
Yeah. I understand how you could feel that way.
But I was just going, I just need to let my feelings out.
Yeah. But we
breathe.
did it. And we wound up solving the
when
problem.
I hear they could also make me hurt my feelings, certain octaves can make me cry.
Really?
But I just won't be as loud as the baby crying.
Right.
But I can just once in a while, but not as much as them.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. So certain sounds can even evoke emotion like that.
I think she's coming into understanding a little bit more of that as she's gotten older.
Okay.
More of an emotional connection to some things, but emotions are still hard to manage.
Yeah. Abby, did you ever meet any bullies in school? Or have you ever interacted with a bully?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, that's good. Thank goodness. I
don't
love
want to talk about bullies. That's
Yeah.
Every time when people would say something like that, they remind me of Disney villains.
Yeah, they are.
They're like Ursula or Scar, Mufasa's brother.
Right. No, they
or
really
Gaston.
are.
Remember Gaston?
Oh, from Beauty and the Beast. Yeah,
or
not
Jafar
good.
from Aladdin.
Of course, not good.
Or Sharpay and Ryan from High School Musical.
That's exactly right.
Shenzi, Bonsai, and Ed, the three hyenas.
I love it.
See, I couldn't do that.
Me neither.
I would just go blank.
I've seen all those movies and I can't
Anastasia and Drizella, the ugly stepsisters.
That's right, and Cinderella.
Maleficent, the evil queen
From
or
Snow
slash
White.
old hag.
Wow, you're amazing,
Or
Abby.
Cruella de Vil, who steals all the dogs.
Right. Ooh, God, don't tell Taco that. He'll get scared.
Or Mr. Electric from The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
That's right.
George Lopez.
George Lopez.
Yes.
He played him?
Yeah.
No way. I did not know
Or
that.
Darth Vader.
Ooh,
Or
that's one of my
Eggman
favorites.
from Sonic.
Yes.
Gosh, you're good. So let's talk about Love on the Spectrum. I'm such a fan. You're going on season 3. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Do you like filming Love on the Spectrum?
The first day they came in, I was sitting down, they filmed me, and I was completely zoned out, and I had low energy. But the next day they came back, they finally let me to move around.
Oh, and that gave you more energy.
Yes, it did, because it feels more even people on the spectrum, like other people on the spectrum have to do it just like me.
Yeah.
And some people with ADHD.
Absolutely.
Like, for example, speaking of ADHD, Tigger bounces on his tail.
That's right. That's right. That each of the Winnie the Pooh characters, they say, represents a different mental illness, right?
Yeah.
Or
Pooh has an eating disorder.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Piglet has an anxiety disorder. Eeyore has depression. Rabbit has OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder.
Right. That's right. Wow. That's so interesting.
Rabbit wants to keep his garden a certain way.
Right. And
like
it has to be.
If he's missing a carrot, he can get a little OCD.
Mm-hmm.
And Piglet goes, oh dear, because he worries too much.
Right, because he has anxiety. I get that. I have a lot of friends who remind me of Piglet.
I was a lot like Piglet. When the bus was running late, I felt a lot like Piglet.
Did you? You were anxious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And anxiety from Inside Out.
Oh, yeah. Anxiety. Which one do you like better? Inside Out 1 or 2?
I like them both because speaking of Inside Out, Mary and I went to the Inside Out house, and when we went in Anger's room, it was very hot like the desert.
Ooh, and you don't like being hot.
Yeah, because I couldn't have slept in Anger's room.
Oh, me neither. I like to sleep with it really cold.
I'm cold too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless there's a blizzard out.
Yeah, then you maybe need a
Go
little
in
heat.
Anger's room.
Yeah, exactly. If there's a blizzard, go
And
in
we went in
Anger's room.
Sadness's room. She had a picture of a whole bunch of clouds.
I want to do that.
We went
That's
in
so
Fear's
cool.
room. I slept in Joy's room.
Oh.
And Mary slept in Anxiety's room.
Wow, that's amazing.
Mary's anxious.
What,
now.
yeah. What an incredible experience. You guys can thank me later because I'm about to tell you about a brand that I have not shut up about in about 4 years, Blue Salt. You guys might remember at our wedding, we gave out those comfy pants to all of our guests, and so many of you were dying to know what brand they were. There was only ever one choice, and it's Blue Salt. They're a one-stop shop for seasonless basics, the most comfortable, elevated pieces of all time. More often than not, at least one item of clothing on my body is Blue Salt. And you guys, their wrap is my all-time favorite travel essential. Their clothes are made out of the softest fabric to ever exist. Trust me, you've never felt anything like it. Once you buy one of their pieces, you'll never want to take it off. I'm so passionate about this brand, their commitment to sustainability, and the fact that everything in their collection matches, making all of our lives infinitely easier and more comfortable. Use code XO live from bed for 20% off full price items. So is there anything you don't like about filming? Is it hard?
Necessarily.
Well, one of the things, just to clarify, that I thought it's something I learned from
Yeah.
Love on the Spectrum. Look, it's completely unscripted.
Right.
We don't know what's going to happen, especially in the first season. It was all just very scary because we didn't. And by the way, I think the show had just come out in Australia, so we didn't really know what
That's
it
where
was.
it first started in Australia.
That's right.
And if each person starts with an interview in their bedroom, so they're sitting in a room. So they went in Abby's room, they set up the cameras, and her room's pretty small, and there's like all these lights, and you're just sitting in a chair.
Right.
And Keon, our director, is just asking, general questions, and Abby had a hard time just sitting still. And so she started to, I think, neurologically disconnect a little bit, which is often part of the deal with autism,
Right.
And it did not go well that first day. In fact, I was surprised they even came back because Abby was just literally like, I'm bored. Can I get out of here now? I don't want to, it just, because there was nothing happening.
I understand.
It was what I call high affect
Yeah.
engagement. And he just said, can we come back, Thursday and let's just get Abby around the house. And so they did, and they just followed Abby around, and it was like a different person. And so I'd never seen that. I'd never seen those two kind of Q&A times with new people. So it presented to me like
Right.
that. One in a room, sitting down with a chair, not moving, be quiet, answer the questions, sit still. And the other one, which is just
It's
Abby
the
is
SH
Abby.
sound.
Oh, I don't love that sound. Do you?
SH as in shark.
That's true.
And where do sharks live? In the ocean.
That's right.
There's no sharks in the pool.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness there's no sharks.
Thank goodness.
Is it dangerous to swim with sharks?
I think so.
Because speaking of sharks, there was this girl, Bethany Hamilton, who's been surfing
that's
all her
right.
life. And when she was 13 years old, at age 13, she was sitting on her surfboard on the water with her best friend, Alana Blanchard.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, a big shark comes up and bites her entire arm off.
Oof.
And she had to go to the emergency room.
That's right.
She's lost a ton of blood, and she went right back in the water
I
after
know.
the shark attack.
Can you believe that? That's amazing.
She
isn't
learned how to do it all over again.
I
She's an
know.
inspiration. She inspired me.
And now she says, if I can do it, you can do it.
That's true.
Yeah.
I really feel like that when I watch you, Abby. I really feel like you make me feel like I can do anything because you can do anything. It's really amazing. So you met your boyfriend, David, on Love on the Spectrum, right?
Yeah.
So what's your favorite thing about David?
My favorite thing about David is that he understands the way my mind works. And
I love the way you smile when you talk about David. You light up. I love that. So you like the way that he understands how your brain works. And what else? Do you think he's handsome?
yes, I do.
Okay. Do you like going to the zoo together?
We do.
That's your favorite thing to do with him.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
It's our favorite thing. We like to see the animals. We like to see the meerkats.
Oh.
We like to go in the gift shop.
Yeah, you do.
That's
You're always in the gift shop.
I love a gift shop. What do you buy at the gift shop? More stuffed animals? I mean, you have so many.
I have so many, and I'm adding this and that other little stuffed beagle I got for Christmas. Remember that?
Yeah.
I'm going to add these two dogs to my collection.
Ooh, I love
The
that.
beagle's in my closet, but I'm going to put it on the shelf, so it's part of it.
Oh, that's perfect.
Now I'm going to have 218 animals.
Oh my God. You walked in with 217 and you're leaving with 218? I love that.
216 first. Now it's 218.
Wow.
And guess what?
What?
I have 160 dolls.
That is so many dolls. And do you love them all? Do you like hold
Yeah,
them
they're
all?
female dolls.
Oh, they
but
are?
I do have some male animals. I have lions, like these 3 little Beanie Baby lions.
You have
Oh,
3
cute.
giant ones too.
Yeah, and a Clementine.
Oh, and Clementine, the one that looks like your dog, right?
Is this your dog?
That's my dog.
That's him as a cuddle clone?
Yes. Well, it's not exactly a cuddle clone, but it is kind of the same thing.
It looks exactly like him.
Doesn't it? It looks
really
a lot
cute.
like
It
him.
does.
It is him.
How many stuffed animals do you sleep with?
Like 30 something.
Wow, every night.
A lot of them are Lion King. And I sleep
Wow.
with these 2 little chicks. One's white, the other's yellow.
Oh, and
The
you
white
don't lose
one's
them?
wearing the bonnet.
Oh, that's cute.
And the white one has an eggshell on its head.
Oh, I love that. Oh my God, I need to
But
come
here's
see
the thing.
her.
they're
So in
chicks.
Abby's room, she does have this. I'm not kidding. It's like a museum, and everything is perfectly organized. So even though
Wow.
it might sound a little chaotic, it's crowded,
Oh, no,
but
I
it's
don't doubt.
organized, right?
Yeah.
So, but on
And if
the,
someone messes it up, I can get a bit OCD, like
yeah,
Rabbit from
yeah.
Winnie the
Right.
Pooh.
That's
So-
right.
let's just say, if I go in there and because I'm trying to put something down or she forgot something in the other room, her desk is also aligned with collectibles. So the computer's
Barbies.
in the middle of the
Littlest pet shop.
collectibles. So if you nudge one or the other or you accidentally, yes.
Oh, so you have to be
Fishes.
very
there's,
careful.
there's hell to pay, actually.
How many of your stuffed animals do you think your mom can name?
Oh, boy.
Ugh, so many. I have like
No, she said, how many can I name?
a lot.
A
You
lot?
think I can name them all?
I think that's too much specific.
Too much
Yeah.
specific. I get that. But you can name them all. You know all their names. Yeah.
There's so many stuffed animals. I even have my 2 favorite ones, Romeo and Juliet, but they're in the
Ooh.
closet.
Oh, okay.
Think about it when they're facing my direction, it looks like they're looking at me.
That's true.
You love that when they're looking at you.
Are they really looking at me or no?
They're not. What about David's animals, though? I was
Yeah, tell
very
me about
impressed with
S'mores is a lion.
Okay. Does David have as many stuffed animals as you?
He has a lot of Wild Republic stuffed animals that
Ooh.
from Africa.
That's cool.
But here's my thing. I was very impressed. They've been dating for like maybe 8 months. And David has a specific like 26 animal collection. And he's got them kind of laid out. And she came home one day and she named all of his animals' names in
Wow.
order. Remember how you named all David's stuffed animals? I thought that was really cute. Do you remember them? All those animals?
S'mores the lion.
S'mores the
Hamburger the hippopotamus. Cheetos the cheetah. Cake batter donut the spotted hyena. French fry the fennec fox. Cheese pizza the crocodile. Fish and chips the great white shark. Spaghetti the giraffe. Lollipop the zebra.
These are amazing names.
Toast the African wild dog. Pop tart the okapi. Gumdrop the chameleon. Brownie the honey badger. Cotton candy the flamingo.
Wow.
Chicken nugget the ostrich.
This could go on for days.
Oh my God. I mean,
It's
this
a
is.
lot.
Do you
Oreo the elephant.
Oh, I like that name. That's a perfect name for an elephant, I think.
And popcorn the rhino.
And Popcorn the rhino.
Of course.
So when you get a new stuffed animal, do you introduce David to your new stuffed animal? Oh, that's so nice.
And remember also with the synesthesia. What about that?
He has synesthesia. He
Tell me about
associates
that.
numbers as colors. 0 is black. Number 1 used to be black, but now it's gold.
Okay. So when he thinks of a number, he thinks of a
Yeah,
color
a certain
also.
color.
Okay.
Number 2 is red. Number 3 is yellow. Number 4 is blue. Number 5 is green. Number 6 is purple. Number 7 is white. Number 8 is brown. Number 9 is pink. Number 10 is gray. Number 11 is orange.
Wow.
Number 12 is crimson. And number 13 is tan.
Ooh, interesting. I was not expecting you to say that. So how long have you and David been together now?
We've been together for 3 years.
3 years. That's a lot. That's a lot. And you guys went to Africa together.
We did.
Was that fun?
That was amazing. We got invited for the 30th anniversary Lion King
Oh, that's amazing.
Where
at
were
the
you?
Hollywood Bowl.
Wow.
30th anniversary.
That's so cool.
We saw the whole live show there.
And the film came on.
Did you sing
too.
along?
Yes,
to all
I
the
did.
songs?
It was an amazing show
That's
and
amazing.
a fun time. And they've gotten to do a lot of fun Disney things together, you and David.
We went to Disney Animation back in April.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I saw you guys both presented at the Creative Arts Emmys. That was
Yeah.
amazing. What did that feel like to do that? Were you nervous?
Not really. Well, I wasn't that nervous.
Okay. Was David nervous?
A little. I don't know. I'm not him.
That's true. That's absolutely true. And did you feel proud after you did it?
I did.
How did you pick your dress?
It was like a smoke color.
It was a beautiful dress.
It was a beautiful. We lucked out on that one because I didn't know she was going to do that until like a couple of weeks beforehand.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a rush panic on it. But I mean, there's certain styles and cuts, and we just scoured the internet.
Wow.
And it
Thank
wound
God
up,
for online
thank
shopping.
God for online shopping, honestly. But I mean, I'll be honest with you, sitting there from my point of view and thinking about where we started and then sitting, and I was just telling someone this story where I'm sitting in the audience, you know, and so is David's mom, and Dick Van Dyke is about 6 rows in front of me, and I can see the back of his head. And what am I watching during this thing is I'm watching Abbey on stage and the back of Dick Van Dyke's head because he's such an icon
Right.
of my life.
That must have been so surreal.
And I'm watching Dick Van Dyke just watch her talk. And Octavia Spencer was like a 1 row over. So between the two of them.
Wow.
So I'm like half watching her and thinking, but then I'm watching them watch her talk.
Were you just sobbing?
I was everything. It was every emotion I could possibly feel.
Wow.
And then ultimately I feel like I'm either on some sort of hallucinogenic medication that's making
Some
me
wonderful
believe
hallucinogenic.
this.
Yeah.
Or I've just concocted it in my head because when I think of the journey, you know, I think for anyone that's been through something like this that comes out at the other end where we're just, you know, we're okay, we're functioning, we're having a great life. There's no one bar of success. I don't
Right.
think it's a bunch of things and just internal happiness. But to see it happening was that never give up and expect miracles. Expect them.
Yeah.
Wait for them to come and say, I can't wait when my miracle is coming, and just
Right.
believe,
Right.
innocently believe, because it was that kind of impact seeing that. And she did such a good job.
She did such a good job. Do you guys talk about goals a lot or like things that she wants to accomplish?
Oh,
and-
yeah. Abby, do you remember some of the things you've come to me and said?
Yes.
I mean, everything has been a step on a ladder.
Yeah.
I always say that. It's her ladder, not mine. But I'm the one spotting her on the ladder. So when Abby finished
a
her
great analogy.
post-high school, which was called Miller Career in Transition, she had exceeded in weaving. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to do a business. That's what she's going to do for work. She's going to have a little hat business. That's what she's going to do. I can make it happen. I went to the school and said, hey, she needs to learn advanced weaving because we don't know how to tie the hats off. We don't know how to finish the scarves, but she can do the middle part. Can she go into advanced weaving? I asked the teacher. Teacher says, great idea. Let's do it. I present it to the principal. Principal says, no. We don't do that here.
Ah,
And I went home crying and I said to the teacher, you know, I guess we can't do this hat business that I had thought of, that I thought was such a great idea. And the teacher said, I'm retiring at the end of the year. I'll come to your house on Saturdays and I'll show you how to do it.
wow.
So in her own time, that teacher came to our house and helped me learn how to help her.
Oh,
So together we came up with a plan
yeah.
and you know, that madebyabby.com started because of Miss Carol,
Wow.
the
and
teacher.
The power of community. And
Power of community and just, you know, I'm pretty tough. I'll fight. Like I
Yeah.
said, you know, I'll give 150%.
Yeah.
And it just worked out. So I want to give full credit where it's due. And if it wasn't for Miss Carol, she wouldn't be doing this. Abby, how many hats a week do you think you make?
I make a lot.
Really?
I mean, she's making at least, 6, sometimes 10 a week.
No way. Abby, that's amazing.
And just always having that thing to do where she feels productive.
right.
How do you feel, Abby, when you fill a bunch of orders?
I feel overjoyed.
I bet. And I bet the people that get the hats from you also feel overjoyed. You're spreading so much joy by doing that. I want to ask both of you a question, and whoever wants to answer. What is something that you think people don't understand about autism?
You want to answer?
People don't understand about autism that there's many levels of autism. Like the kind I have is called an autism communication disorder with language. And I'm sure other people on the spectrum don't have that at all. And there's also some people on the spectrum that have no language, none.
Right. And you have so much language.
Yeah, I have more language as an adult than as a child. I had a lot less language.
Right.
Because
right.
as a childhood, I felt very isolated and alone, and I couldn't join conversation. I was in my own world, and I would walk around in circles talking to myself.
Would you? And then you grew up and you now talk to so many people.
Yeah.
So you make TikToks. Do you like posting TikToks? Do you like making those videos?
I do.
You do. And does your mom help you do that?
Not really. Who really helps you?
Who really helps?
My cousin Mary.
Oh, that's amazing.
Mary, cousin Mary.
That's
Woo!
amazing.
I help a little bit, only in that there is moments in life that she makes me laugh. And that's really how it started. I was taping Abbey back in, 2015 when she would say or do funny things, and I'd send them to her brother.
Okay.
And I'd say, look what Abby said, look what Abby did. Or, one time someone brought us cookies, and Abby took all the cookies for herself, and her brother, and I don't know why I filmed that one. And
What do you mean I took all the cookies from
there was some video, and Ben said, hey, give me some cookies. She's like, no, I want them all. And he's like, hey, wait a minute. And I just, I'm like, you lost that fight, Ben. Because but there were just funny moments.
Why did I eat so many cookies?
It was just
Cookies are delicious.
There was only like a couple, and you took them because you didn't want to share.
I
It's
don't
just
blame
funny.
you. I love cookies.
Think about it. One
Yeah.
time I was at a kid's party, I ate so many cookies, I got sick.
Oh, you felt sick after. That can happen, and that does not feel good. Abbey, what's your favorite thing about yourself? What do you like about yourself?
I'm smart, I'm funny, and I'm kind
That's so true.
and popular.
Yes, you really are. Are you going to see Wicked?
I would love to see Wicked.
Yeah, you got to see it. They have that song Popular. That's a good song. I love that. So do you have a best friend?
I have David.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the best friend. He's an incredible friend.
Incredible best boyfriend.
He's the best boyfriend. That's so fun. When are you going to see him next?
Right now he's on vacation with his family in Las Vegas for Thanksgiving, and they're going to be going to the Lion Habitat Ranch, like they do every year.
Wow, so he's going to take pictures and show you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. What are you asking for Christmas? What do you want for Christmas?
I like to get more clothes.
Me too. No more stuffed animals?
I don't want my room to be packed
Yeah.
and be a hoarder like Grandma. I don't want to be a hoarder like Grandma.
Okay. She's not wrong about that. I mean, I haven't really talked about that much, but people sometimes ask me about my own mother.
Yeah.
And I had a very different experience. My mother, who passed away last year, she did have a hoarding problem, and Abby saw some of it when we went to visit her at one point. So she did get to see some of what was the truth of what was happening
Right.
and why there was this disconnect with Grandma's house, which caused a lot of pain in the family. It's
Right.
always a hard issue to
Of
deal with when you want
course.
to help someone. So, but Abby now knows that. So that word comes up.
Right. And she makes light of it. But
She makes light of
yes.
it because
Of course.
we were trying to explain to her
Yeah.
what can happen.
Yeah. But that's so incredible for you to have grown up with a mother that struggles with that, and how many chains you had to break and new ways of, mothering you had to invent.
Well, that's what I said. I always say that.
What are you giggling about?
Yeah, what are you giggling about,
It's
Abs?
in a
Do you
good
need some?
mood.
Do you want some water?
No,
Okay.
I'm in a good mood. I need more
love
questions.
That. Oh, of course.
I
You
was
want to
just-
answer more questions? Or are you done?
I think that I've answered enough.
Okay, that's
You
totally
can just
fair.
sit
Can I
here
ask
while
your mom
I'm just
some
going to
questions?
finish this one question.
All right.
She was asking me about Grandma, and I thought I would answer that.
You can answer it.
First of all, I decided when I was 18, I said, I'm leaving this nuclear family and I'm never going to sleep another night here again. It wasn't pleasant. I always try to see the positive and understand they did the best they could, but it wasn't right for me and it wasn't what I wanted. So I left. I went to college and funded it myself. And I spent a year as an exchange student in England, and back when there was no internet or
Wow.
anything. And once I was at the age to make a decision about having kids, I said one thing. I was like, thank you, Mom, for teaching me who I don't want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have anger. I didn't have resentments. I feel like I gave my mother everything until the end. I was her healthcare proxy. I made sure she got everything she needed.
Wow.
I really tried to understand her story without resentment
Mm-hmm.
and without victimization. I didn't do the poor me thing like, oh, my mother, poor me. I did when I was younger.
Right.
In my 20s, I had a little bit of that rebellious, like, poor me thing. And then I was like, wow, 1950s, 60s, like, that was a different
Yeah.
vibe. I like to sort of say, wow, you paid the price. I'm not going to complain about my freedoms.
Isn't that, it's so true, right? You get a little older, because I spent like my 20s feeling like that in so many ways. And then you get older and you're like, I wasn't dealt the hand that you were dealt,
Yeah.
And so I have to take those blessings and not turn towards my past, but turn towards my future.
Exactly. You can choose to say victimized or feel like you're victimized, or you can try to rethink your thinking on it.
Mm-hmm.
If you are open and willing, you can have a whole other life. And one of the best things was there's not one thing left that I didn't say to my mother when she was alive.
Wow, that's amazing.
And I said it all. because I understood my mother's resentments.
Right.
I understood why she was emotionally shut off, cut down, angry. I mean, Abby can do an impression of Grandma that
Grandma, well, she used to sound like this. Why don't you all just be quiet so we could go grab some food for supper?
What accent is that?
it's a Boston accent.
Boston accent. It
How
sounds
she
like
talk?
a
You
Boston.
do it.
She just was one of those people who was, crabby a lot of the time, I would say. But that came from a place of unhappiness in her own life,
Old people can get crabby.
Absolutely, they can. And so can old dogs sometimes, Abby. Something that I learned from watching you is that happiness and joy and finding those things in the hardship, it is a choice, in so many ways. And I feel like you just are such an inspiration for what can happen and turning towards that rather than looking at what
I
can't.
try. Thank you for that. I mean, I try to just say this is what is, and I mean, I wasn't always like this either. When I was at first, the diagnosis was something I did not understand. I thought I was being punished. I asked, why me? I don't know how to do this. I'm not a patient person. Like, I had a lot of resentments, and I carried those into my life for a while, and then at one point, I just sort of decided that this is what is, and I can't change this. So I can stay angry about what I can't change and then be done with it. And that's not a great attitude.
Yeah.
Or I can make the most of what is. And, it's not at all what I envisioned for myself. So let go of your expectations and just go with what is.
Yeah. That's so true.
There's just so many funny stories of different things and different situations with Abby with no filter out in the world.
I know, and I'm so grateful you share so many of those with us now. I really am so
I
grateful.
could write a book on just awkward moments in LA with Abby.
Yeah, no,
Hollywood
truly.
moments with Abby in Los
Truly,
Angeles.
I would buy that book.
Yes. it's
So,
been a
Abby, I
lot.
have one more question for your mom. Do you want to go get a dessert maybe
Yes.
while I do
Oh
that?
boy.
Yes. You know what? I earned it because I had a guy come and train me yesterday.
You
You
really
do.
did
You have
earn
a
it.
trainer.
And I walked my dog, and might walk my dog later.
Ooh, that sounds
She
good.
has been working out.
And
Quite a
I
bit.
walked my dog yesterday too. So
Wow, I love that. So, Christine, something that I loved that you mentioned on our call before this interview was life after 18. And I
Yes.
know that's something that you think about a lot and spend a lot of your time paying attention to. Can you tell us about what a parent of a neurotypical child wouldn't understand about the fear of Abby turning 18?
Well, the big thing about turning 18 for any parent or caregiver is that the systems changes. From 18 to 22, they have the option to usually get a training program or some post-high school program. But at 22, that's when now you're in the adult division. And what it felt like was, oh, you're a cute young person. Now you're an adult. We don't care about you. You're on your own. And it can be very overwhelming because I think I'm a single parent. Like, now what am I supposed to do?
Right. And Abby's 26.
Abby's 26 now. And so what I've really, I think, tried to live by and do myself is that I am the bridge. I am the bridge to help her create a life. And the weird thing is, or the funny thing is that I do feel there's a level of that for all kids, whether it's a very low support needs person or a high support needs person, because in some ways, high support needs, they're going to get services and there's going to be a little bit more of a presented what's available to you. You need help.
Yeah.
Whereas a person that's either middle or lower support needs, you might say, this is who they are. Or, Johnny, go on LinkedIn and find a job, and they can't.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming to suggest that. So how do you break it down for your individual person, for your individual loved one, where you can say, what is their next step? I never forget, I got this call from this one girl. She was a girl and she was in high school, very smart, on the spectrum, no social skills whatsoever. The idea of being in a room unstructured was absolutely terrifying to her.
Oh, interesting.
And I would say to her, and just in messages, I said, we need to practice social skills. We need to have you more confident in this area. Even if you have 3 or 4 things you say to every person the exact same way, just so you have a bridge to enter that room.
Right.
I said, I'm willing to get on the phone with you and we can just role play on the phone. She was too scared to do that.
Oh.
She said, I can't get on the phone with anyone.
Oh.
Now, that girl figured out a way to do what she needed to do. She was taking her SAT. She went and did it. She said, I did it. I went in, I got my pencil, I sat down, I took my test. And she was so proud of herself for doing that without
bet.
help. So it's very individualized, whatever that next step is, creating
Yeah.
something. I always believe in creating opportunities that are not there.
Like with the hats.
The hat business
Yeah.
totally pushed that, created that. Abby starting her social media, you know, that was kind of me suggesting that she do it with cousin Mary. And then Mary said, okay. And they just sort of figured it out together.
So just one last thing I want to ask you, and I think this is for a lot of parents who might have a kid that struggles with anything. Like, how do you talk to your son, Ben, about all of this? And how, as a single mother, do you make time for both or make sure he was not lost in the shuffle?
It's a great question. When Ben was little, first of all, he's an old soul and an amazing son and a fantastic younger brother.
Oh,
I'm divorced. They've grown up in a house primarily with just me. Their dad has since moved far away, so he's not around physically able to be in,
yeah.
anyway. But even when they were younger, my son turned to me he must have been, he said two things to me in his profound old man self. When he was 7 or 8, he said, well, who do you think is going to take care of Abby when she's older? Who's going to be overseeing things?
Wow.
And I was like, because that's the opposite of what I wanted for him.
Right.
And the other thing he said to me was, I'm really glad that you waited to have children and that you didn't do it when you were younger because I think you're a much better mother.
Wow. Jeez. He's like a prophet.
How did he pick up on the fact
Yeah.
that I was just like traveling Europe through my 20s?
Right.
Like I was just...
He's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong at all. He's absolutely right on that.
Amazing.
He is amazing. And so what I did when he was younger was I allowed him to have like epic birthday parties. And we did epic things like, and I would take Abby and I would either have her go to a friend's house, like one of my adult friends where she could stay overnight.
Right.
So he could have the whole house to himself. I did the end of the year pool party in my backyard with every single kid in the first and second and third grade classes. So there'd be like 20 kids in the jacuzzi just going crazy.
Right.
10, 11, 12 years old. Like I really tried to make him feel like he was in charge and had power in his own house. The power of choice in his own house. Like he had a voice in that.
Yeah.
So if there was things he wanted to do, I really tried to listen.
Wow.
And even now as a young adult, I've said to him, if there's things that I do that bother you, you have to tell me. And
I mean, that's radical coming from a parent.
I
Like, what an incredible thing.
He said, well, you weren't around that much. I feel like sometimes I had to raise myself, and we've talked about it.
Yeah.
I said, you're kind of right. I was working a lot. I had to pay the bills. And I always had a girl living in our house. This was the other thing I didn't plan on or order, which was, there was always someone living in the house with us to help me when I was at work. So we had Carol, who was like Mrs. Doubtfire, who that was a whole story. She was a big personality. Then we had one girl with pink hair and a guitar. Then we had Helen, who never actually wanted to be involved with kids at all, just was trying to wait to meet a man on millionaire.com so that she could get out and get on with things. So we've had a cast of characters in the house, but I always try to have a sense of humor with it and just kind of laugh at the absurdity of it all, but really try to find times to create fun memories.
Yeah, I love that.
And then just let your feelings out. Like it's okay to cry. It's okay to be upset. You know, if there was something he wanted, I always tried to create separate time for him to do his thing. But as a little boy, he spent a lot of his time in therapy rooms.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he came to OT and speech. He's great around people on the spectrum.
Oh, I can imagine.
Because he has such a kind heart.
Yeah.
And he has such patience. And that's something I hope for everybody, like HR people, stores, colleagues. You know, my other thing is if I won the lottery is I would love it if we could stop using the word weird in reference to people.
Yes.
People aren't weird. Situations are.
That's so true.
People have different brain processors. They're not weird.
Yeah.
In fact, they're probably smarter than you in certain
100%.
areas. Their knowledge of preferred interests. And so if we could look at it that way and start making change about calling anyone weird is not nice and so painful to someone who has a different processor, who has struggled their whole life to be seen and heard and to fit in. And so if you could kind of look at it and go, wow, that person knows everything there is to know about astronomy.
Yeah.
They're a walking encyclopedia.
So true. Yes.
It's kind of fascinating.
Yeah. No, it's
Kinda cool,
unbelievable.
actually.
It's unbelievable. No, I'm so grateful that you took the time to explain that, because I think that's something that maybe a lot of people struggle with. How do you balance what's life like after 18, and how do you balance having another kid without special needs, you know?
Yeah. And I also didn't want him to feel that he was going to have to life dependent on
Right.
her.
Right.
I said to him at a young age, that's why he went to Indiana from Southern California.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted him to go as far away as he could
Do his thing.
and do his thing and just have this submersive experience in college that had nothing to do with any of this stuff. And I was like, if you want to move to Japan, go.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
Wow.
Just go. His love of his life is from Brazil.
Okay.
She just graduated. She did not find a job in animation and visual effects, which she had hoped to, which was her double major.
Okay.
So she's back in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
So now his plan is to go to Brazil for a year.
Oh, amazing.
And
Maybe you'll visit.
I was like, go, and I
Yeah.
will visit you.
Oh, I love
You just can't
that.
move there.
Yeah, no, that's
permanently.
the rule. That's the rule. Abby, can we ask you one more question? And then we'll be done?
Yes, and then we'll call it a day.
Then we'll call it a day. Which dessert did you have?
I had the blueberry muffin and the croissant chocolate.
Yum. Those are two of my favorites.
A chocolate croissant is
And
very
guess
good.
what? I walked my dog yesterday and worked out with Coach T.
Wow.
She
So
did.
you really earned it.
Yeah.
You really earned it. Okay, so I love wine also. I have to ask you, what's your favorite kind of wine?
I like Chardonnay.
Chardonnay is your go-to. Do you like any other kinds?
Red wine, not so
No,
much.
but Chardonnay. And when you see a bar, you're like, let's go get a drink? Yeah, me too. Me too, girlfriend.
It's really funny
It's
because
the best.
the other day I came home and it's like there's just the bottle of wine and the wine glass out on the counter. I wasn't
love
even
that.
there.
No, I love that so much. Well, thank you guys so much for doing this.
You're
You can just
welcome.
wave to the camera. Bye. Thank you. Adios.